Is this the? Yes. Oh. Let's see.
Om Shri Sai Ram. We can start our study circle with 3 ohms. Om. Dear Swami, we are so grateful to be able to meet here together in your presence today. While we are here together studying your word in your Bhagavat Vahini, we ask that you open our ears and hearts to whatever it is you want us to learn. Please speak through each one of us and help us progress in our spiritual journey. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. Sorry, I have been having a crazy day, but I'm so glad to be here. And we will continue our study circle of karma and dharma and follow it up, going back to our chapter 4 discussion. And hopefully, I think we will finish chapter 4 today, but if not, we always have the following meeting to finish what we started. So with that, I just want to remind everyone to mute your cell phones. Let's stay focused on the topic. Let's not debate or judge, and let's have an open mind to learn the lessons that we need to today. Hope everyone has their notebooks to take a few notes as lessons learned or topics of discussions for future. So the best way, obviously, is to try to leave our ego outside our room and have this discussion. So with that, I just want to review what we did last week. We had a great discussion on surrendering to the divine with faith. We were talking about what Swami was, Swami's story of Sakkubai. We also talked about the ability to surrender and attaching oneself to the result of that surrender is not actually surrender. And I think accepting the result of the action is also something that we said is surrender. God comes to assist us or help us, help for so many devotees, apart from Sakkubai and others that we had mentioned about. And we also talked about how the mind needs to be trained and needs to be pure to be able to see the divinity. And then we continued on to faith and fear, how one cannot survive with the presence of the other, because fear cannot survive basically if we have faith. And then we talked about God as witness, and we have to train ourselves to realize and recognize, and cutting down the noise in our minds and the mind to be calm. We talked about a few practices there. We talked about the senses and their duty and how we have to practice to rein those senses in. We continued with having prayer and surrender as an action, and then started talking about sattvic as in purity of thought, word, action. And then we talked about each of those senses, and we started with food, and it felt like everyone had some say in it. And then we kind of touched upon dressing as being sattvic in what we wear, I think, and how it can help curb the senses, especially as we gave an example of how we dress at Prashanti, and how Swami has actually led us to dress, I guess, modestly to help us curb our senses. So again, this is just a few things that I kind of remembered. But if there is any questions or further discussion that anyone would like to bring up, this is a great time.
Just a simple thing about the dress part of it. Apart from modest clothing that is covered and not revealing and that kind of a thing, also Swami stresses on not flaunting with expensive dresses like makeup and that kind of a thing when we come to a satsang, because it could what could happen if somebody sees that, they may think that, oh, maybe I should also dress up like that, and I cannot afford it, or I don't have that kind of. So those are the things that he stresses most on. Yes. So you want to have modest dress, cover yourself, and that decent dress. That's what's
correct.
I have one question. Actually, something that came up when I was listening to one of the Swami student. Remember, Bhavani, you said that God as being witness, right? Mm-hmm. In that one, he was saying, that student was saying that God, if you want God to be an examiner, he will be an examiner. And if you want him to be your teacher, he will certainly be a teacher. So the question, I think then if he is going, it's up to us as to how we invite God into our life as a teacher or as an examiner. Then the question of witness, doesn't it go away is my question. Like he's not just a witness, right? Because when he is a teacher, you are saying that, oh God, you be my teacher and you teach me, then he's going to teach and we accept it, right? So is that a contradictory or both go in parallel is my question. Yeah.
I think, Sairam, when you say he's a teacher and he's a witness, he's not a witness at that time. But I think it is like what we call God with the Saguna Brahman, right, with Maya, then he has all these attributes and as a teacher also. So if it's a Nirguna Brahman, then there is no teacher-student, we are all one. So that is the concept I think is applicable here. Yeah.
I would like to add to what what Umaji just mentioned. So this is a live example, what Venkatji said. How else would God be the teacher? This is the example. God came as a teacher to say in the form of Venkatji and say those things. God has come. I mean, this is the way. We were otherwise just doing it as a witness. He came as Venkatji's voice to say that exact words. Be not only modest, not flaunting dresses. So God will not only be witness, he is a teacher in any form. In any form, he would come and say these things to us. This is the exact example of Sadguna Brahma, I would say.
Sadguna Brahma.
Yeah.
But then again, when we see at the temple or the pictures, God is fully head to toe, adorned with jewelry, except Shiva. Probably he's the only one with ashes and tiger skin dancing in the graveyard. But other god and goddesses, what they depict as a picture, with all grand, jewelry and clothing and all. So, right? So, yeah, right.
Yeah.
See, wherever it is, oh, guru versus, witness and guru. Yeah, it's very clear. It is witness, there is nothing. There is witness is only the witness, no attributes. Just remember that. So we are all at the soul level, we are all witness conscience level. So
Yeah, so we are all witnesses too. So our life, the moment we have prana and we are breathing, and whatever we see, whatever we do, everything that is that witness who is doing it, right? So the God is always there witnessing what we are doing. And whether we invoke him or not, it is going to happen. So that's, he's always there.
Now that we are talking witness, okay, Sairam, sorry. So the self is the witness. So each one of us is a witness because obviously, like Sarva Priyananda Ji says, Brahman is nothing, right? There is nothing there is no attribute to that. There is just that. It is that.
Exactly.
So
that's what Umaji was mentioning, I think. That's the Samanya Brahma and Vishesh Brahma. So Samanya Brahma will be a witness, always a witness. Vishesh Brahma will be in the form of Sadgun Brahma, which can not only come in any incarnation, that would be any kind of influence which can be speaking from anyone's anyone's voice. Let's start to come to that level to understand that aspect
with the name and form.
with the name and form. Yeah.
So that means every time I'm thinking witness would be an examiner is what my thought is, and that would be a parallel. Would that be a parallel?
no, witness is just a mirror.
Witness is just a mirror. Witness will not tell you don't do it or don't do it. Witness will just witnessing it. That's the Samanya Brahma. Vishesh Brahma will be in the form of the Sadgun Brahma or in anyone else's way it would come. Samanya Brahma will never tell you do or not to do. It will just a Sakshi. Sakshi Brahma.
Yeah, that's a witness, the feeling that what is aware of everything. No, yeah.
See, Advaita
Chanting.
Vedanta is, Advaita Vedanta as I'll quote Swami Sapriyananda, the witness here, like we are seeing, the eyes are seeing this, but the two are separate, right? But the eyes are seen by this is the seer, this is the seen. The mind is seeing the eyes, mind is the seer, eyes are the seen, that they're separate. But there's something that is seeing the mind also. He says that you are, that is your true
Yep.
self. And that is the witness, whatever that is you want to call it, it is what it is. That's what Sapriyananda, he explained the basic of it, the witness.
Another example comes of the Samanya Brahma and Vishesh Brahma. Samanya Brahma and Vishesh Brahma. Another example comes as the one which is witness is just like a Samanya Brahma, like a Samanya Agni. They give the example of wood. Agni stays in the form of Samanya Agni in the wood. It's not harmful, but we get the spark in, and it will all show the big fire in it. So that is Samanya Agni will not do anything wrong. When it becomes Vishesh, then it becomes important who can do the activity. Samanya Brahm will be just a witness. The Vishesh Brahm would be the active form of it. Always active form.
For
See,
the
I mean,
witness
we
in
can-
us also, sorry. See, when we were like 2-year-old, 6-year-old, 16, there is something in us witnessing everything. We know. But then as the body gets old, the witness in us, the I, that not the small I, the self, that stays the same. It never
that
changes.
self
So
does not
that,
change.
yeah, the
What is
witness,
there
the
is
main
cha-
thing is witness never changes.
It's right.
No matter how old you are, how
Right,
sick
it
you
was
are.
never born, it will never die.
Right.
So where is the age in there? It is a witness,
that's
you
the
call
only
it
thing,
Brahman,
yeah.
you call consciousness, with
Right.
whatever we can call, that's what as quoting Sarpananda is what I'm quoting. That is the witness. We could say up here, it's not up here. It's in you wherever what, you know. That's the way. it is.
So, yes.
You want to say that shloka in group in the Gita. Dvavimo Purusho Loke Kshar Cha Akshar Evacha. What is that? So Dvavimo Purusho Loke, the two birds sitting in, that's what the example comes. The two birds. One is a Sakshi, so that applies here, right? So I'm just forgetting that Gita is Dvavimo Purusho Loke Kshar Cha Akshar Evacha. In this body, we have two forms. One is a Sakshi form, and one that is the Akshar form. And the Akshar form is the active form, which is making you do the things. So that's both the things are in the same body.
Yeah. Stula and Sukshma.
It's not Sudha Sukshma, it's the Kshar and Akshar. Akshar is that Samanya Chetan, which we're talking about, and the Kshar is Kshar means which destroys. Akshar
Okay.
is non-destroying.
Does anyone remember that story of the two birds?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can somebody repeat that story just to, you know, for it? It was a beautiful one. If that's okay, or we can move on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's totally okay.
We.
Yeah. You have to speak in the mic.
Maybe next
Okay.
time we can come back.
Yeah, we can come back to the story. Yeah, Sairam. All right, so we'll move on to our discussion for karma and dharma. We did talk about Sakkubai in the last session, and then the lessons that we learned. This is the ending of this of Swami's discourse on karma and dharma, and we read it once, and we started talking about sattvic, and we started with food, and I thought we can actually build our, Swami ends this with by saying, build your lives on the four pillars of Janma, Karma, Dharma, and Brahman. So this is my benediction for you all. So we were actually going to focus on that, but we started talking about sattvic, how purity is important before you reach the ultimate Brahman. That's how the conversation went. So with that in mind, so how do our actions, how does karma impact the four pillars, that whole thing? I had a few questions here, but we can take it the way we want to. The last time we talked about food, is there anything that people want to talk about today? Otherwise, we can definitely talk about karma and dharma, because that is the essence of this entirety of Swami's talk on action and the right action. So it actually is interesting. I was actually thinking about how exactly we can relate to this, and now I forget, even though I thought I'll remember it. But Buddha's eightfold right action, that path from the Four Noble Truths. The fourth one is where he has an eightfold path of righteousness. Do the right action, do the right, have the right thought, all of that. I thought that was interesting. I have actually put it out here. But does anyone have anything to add when we talk about karma and dharma? How does it impact us, and what actions we can take today to build that? Because I think every day, at least in my life, I already do something that is not right, and then I go back and apologize. That's how I'm working right now, because I recognize it. I can't go back in time and change it. So now I have to, when that time comes, to have the buddhi to, or the intellect to tell us that, hey, the right action is silence, or the right action is to just observe, that kind of thing. What can we imbibe today?
I'd like to say one thing. Swami Sarpananda said, in the beginning, when I was listening to him, I didn't know anything, starting with zero, with Advaita Vedanta, I had no idea. But I went and finally understood. One thing he said, once you understand what it is, the principle, you have understood, all the time you don't have to repeat the same thing over and over and over again all the time. You see, repeat the whole story all over. He said, no, if you have understood it, you got it, and you feel it is right for me, then he says, that's it. Don't bother, because I was doing exactly that. Go over and over again, the same thing what he had said. Then one day when I said, no, you don't have to do that. Did you understand? Yeah. Does it make sense to your own self? Is it? Yeah, it does. He said, once you have understood, let it go. It's there in you. So from that, from once it's there, then everything you will do will be from that standpoint of view, from that understanding. But you don't have to repeat the whole lecture, what he had given, this. You know it, you know. But basically, then it comes to understand it well in you. Ki, haan, this is the way it is, accepted. And then work according to that, behave according to that. Whatever it may be, I think it will, we can train our lives just with that thing, really.
That second part is the one that is the challenging part, Saira.
That's,
Say,
that's exactly.
Understanding is, we are all
We're
there.
all there.
But follow, that you
Follow.
mentioned that. That is where the
Follow,
challenge
that
comes.
is the main thing you have to follow. And as Bhavani is saying, you make a mistake, you fall down. Oh, just get up and get going, correct it. And you may fall 10 times, but 11th time you will learn it.
No, you learn
Yeah.
one thing, then again you remember, you realize 10 other things that, oh my God, so many times I fell again. You have to come back.
So
It's like-
I guess basically we just have to be aware of it. Where do I stand? You
Yes.
know, there's no shortcut to it. I think no shortcut.
So the Buddha actually says that the steps to the right karma, or rather the noble eightfold path that he actually says, is the right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So each of those, these are 8 things that he said, everything from understanding, thought, speech, action, livelihood, which is our daily action, I think, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. He says if you actually can, build your life towards these things, that is all that is required to do the right karmic action. You will not miss that beat. And it is okay to feel sad. Emotion does not count. Your action is what counts.
Keyword is the right. So right, yeah, exactly.
So he said emotion, like, you will feel bad that, oh, I did something bad, made a mistake. You will repent on it and relentlessly kind of feel sad about it, wasting time. Don't do it. That's why you can't be emotional too much. You can't have raga too much, not dvesha too much. No, you cannot switch like that. He says, if you are doing the action, you realize it is not the right action. Jai Sai Ram, move on.
So to add to that, there was a discussion: do the karmas pay the reward or punishment, or the thoughts pay the reward and punishment?
Mhm.
So karmas do pay the reward or punishment. We know that. What about thoughts?
Thoughts also, right? Thoughts are
lead to action.
Huh?
Thoughts lead
Will-
to action,
so
right?
they will become the hub of-
Actions.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Thoughts.
if you do
or
not,
words, first of all, thoughts become words.
but if you do not
And then
convert
acts.
them to actions, would it still be punishable?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You thought it, you did it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Swami's
Yeah.
stories
punishable,
about it.
But they always have a consequence. This is the
Yes, the
Sukshma
consequence is
Sharira is that.
exactly.
The
That's what I
thought
was,
will go next
that was the
janma.
reason I
follow
opened up the
you.
topic.
Right.
They will become in the Sukshma Sharir, and they will become your sanskar, and the sanskar will make the next body according to the sanskar.
That is all fine. But I want to know what is right.
That's where, see, what many times this has happened is when we do the work or when we do the action, we may do it with the right. I mean, at that time, it may sound right. But in future, like when we go further down, we realize that that action that we did was not the right one. Okay. So there's no point in going back and analyzing the actions. We have to just go at that time, whatever we feel right, we have to keep doing it. Because if we go back and analyze, I think we will always find 1,000 things that we have done. We could have done differently. We might have done, but it's all gone. You cannot go back and change anyway, first of all. But even then, at that time, if you had felt wrong and still did it, then that is wrong. Then that you will face the consequences. But if at that time, if you had felt it right and you have done something, then that's it. There is no, I don't think there is any karma or anything attached to that. So at any given moment, the action, whether it is dharmic or not, is what counts. Later on, and going back in time and then analyzing it is not the right thing to do.
Yeah, so I want to remind of two things. Actually, Vaidyanathan, who was one of our guest speakers, Shrikant Vaidyanathan, when he was a guest speaker, so after our guest speech and this function was over, we were all getting together and we're just asking him about the function. So one thing that he said, one of the Swami's messages was, once the event is done, don't think about it, it is done. If there were mistakes in it, forget all that. You don't even need to analyze how I can improve it in the next time. No, don't talk about it. That was the message that is. So when we do something for 1,000, I don't know how many lives back to Asha ji. Probably I understood it 1,000 lives ago, and I have been deciding at that point that I want to practice it. Maybe 1,000 lives, I'm still practicing it and still not getting it. So I think, we should not regret on something that we thought we should do, but we didn't do it. The fact that you realize it is good enough. Yeah.
So when we are being in the moment of now, as they call it, moment of now does not have time in it. There's no past in it. There's no future in it, right? Whatever we are doing right now, that's all that matters. Past is gone. We did whatever we did. We had mistakes and all that. But right now, this moment is all there is. And if we could live well this moment, then I think we will live well. Will we
Saira,
not?
okay, yes, we will live well this moment. But when that past comes to haunt you, then what do you do?
I'm
So
asking you, what can you do?
I read a quote, and again, certainly I'm trying to practice. It says that past is always full of regrets, and the future is always filled with fears. So stay in the present. So I'll always tell myself it's always going to be full of regrets. And past is never with content and happy and feeling justified in doing what.
See, that is how we learn lessons in life, by our mistakes. So we cannot go back and correct any of the past mistakes. So the lessons we learned, we can apply it right now. Keep it in mind that I won't make the same mistake again. That is one thing we can do, definitely, right?
Yeah, I'm reminded of Shankaran's story, the one that he shared about the husband
Positive.
always looking at
Positive and
all the
negative.
negative. So even in the past, when we look at the past, there are 1,000 or million things that we would have done right. Look at that. Don't look at the things that we might have done wrong, or now we feel that we have done wrong, or we might have done something different at that time. Don't look at that. Look at all the good things that are there, because that is what keeps you going. So I don't think we should look at all the, so when you say past is full of regrets, I don't think that's the regrets is what should come into the thing. It should be all the good things that has happened to you or that you have done. That's what I think we should focus on.
I think because of the guilt which we have now, I wish I had done that. Whatever, I didn't do enough. There's a guilt. So I think we carry that guilt with us of the past. That is the thing that's bothering. The ego, the guilt is bothering more than whatever was done. Otherwise, we would not be regretting it right now. 40 years back, why did I do that? Guilt. I
That
wish I hadn't done
exactly
it.
is
So,
That's what she is saying. Bhavani ji is saying, if it keeps haunting you, what should you do? So it's the practice. So practice of what Venkatji is saying. repeatedly practice to look for the positives. Is you have to train your mind again, training your mind to take the positives and leave the negatives. That's the only way out. Otherwise, you will not come out of the guilt part.
Yeah.
Guilt
So
is the
go,
most harmful part.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like I would say, like, forgive me, but like how I feel is like we don't do any action thinking it's right or wrong. That moment doesn't define. Like whenever we do action, our actions might be right to us, but the other person, they might feel it's wrong. It's about your action. Maybe later we might realize it might not be a right action, but okay, we accept it. We have to accept this is not an action that is right. And that's a learning journey. Like maybe we got an experience to make ourselves better in our life. And the minute we accept, okay, that was maybe not a right action, that guilt won't come because we are accepting that we are improving ourselves. And who else can answer better than our own self what is dharma or what is adharma? So I feel like we should talk to ourselves. We always have an answer within us. And when we get an answer, we should accept the answer and then go from there. We are not proving anybody, but we need to always answer our own self. And that defines the moment of not being guilt for anything.
So from that stems kind of a thought, right? So we do the action at that not thinking. So, and then later on we regret, right? So my thought is, why do we regret later? Because we did it in that egocentric way, right? Because we were thinking about us, the ego part, when we think about it and do it as the body, that's when later on we say, had it we been in other person's shoes, is that what it is? Because otherwise you won't regret. Because if you don't do it in an egocentric way, you in that not in the body way, then you won't regret, right? Isn't that what it is?
Okay, so suppose, well, if the same thing comes back now, the situation, do you think we would all do it differently now? Why? How? Where did you learn the lesson?
Now, why did you
Alright.
do it that
See,
way
right,
then?
see, that,
Was it
that
because
is a
of the
different-
body attachment that,
no,
that happened
no,
at that
it
point?
is also that age, that inexperience, or the limited exposure to things, our knowledge, as we get older, as we read more, as we participate in discussion or, expand our knowledge, we do things differently now. So at that time, with the limited resources, whatever you had, we did. The way we knew best, this is how I should handle it, good or bad. So now we are so different. We are so different from yesterday, day before, last year, 5 years back. So there is no point on dwelling on the past. It's not going to achieve anything. Whatever it is, maybe it had bad consequences, but you will deal with it. At that time I did it. So that's what I did. If we believe we are Brahman now, then okay, that is also Brahman's work, that is how it was supposed to be. Our past vasanas are always there, how it guides us, so we move on from the past. It's not going to bring anything back, no peace of mind whatsoever. So now going forward, how can I do? That's all we can do.
So I still feel that when we do things in a body-centric way, like our mind, body, and then there will be a regret, right? But when we do it in an unselfish way, when we are not thinking, though we are not thinking about our body per se, but subconsciously it's working, I think. When you do
Right.
that without that centric approach.
Yeah, we are still doing it the same, but only the difference is how we approach. We are a little bit different. We have evolved a little bit more, but still we are always working on the body level only. What is in it? Always, right? And we are working to improve ourselves. We are not there yet. So most of the things, what is in it for me, that is how we are operating.
So back to your original thought when you started the conversation was purity of thought. So all this is saying that you have a combination of purity and impurity in you. As we are advancing, you are actually getting more and more purified thoughts, and so your actions now should be better than what you did previously. But then there's no point in, remembering that and, why did I do it? And, that's what was pure, your purity level was that at that time. That's all.
No, I'm not sure about like body centric. I'm still not clear, maybe. But whenever, probably for me, when I take certain actions or anything that I do, it's not a take at that moment. I take time myself. I give myself a lot of time to take that action. But once I take that action, probably that phase of time uh, clarifies a lot of things within you. And when you take that action, you don't feel regret about it. Because that moment, with that time, this is what the action I took. But later, I'm not sure if my action is right or my action is wrong. But if I feel it's wrong, I accept it and I move forward. But that maybe, I don't know if it's a body centric or not, but that regret feeling, I won't say it's a regret, because it's nothing that you did very wrong about it or something. It's certain action. You just have to learn and grow out of it.
So to get to that also, you need a certain level of self-confidence. Okay. Because without self-confidence, you cannot be sure what you did is, and you'll always question yourself. And I actually realized that from the book Gandhi that I'm reading by Eknath Easwaran, I always thought Gandhiji was the most confident of people. I always thought that because of his actions that came into the newspapers and into my textbooks or whatever. What we don't know is the fact that as a child, he was so filled with fear, never left his mom, never even went outside to the bathroom because it was in the dark. That's how scared he was. In fact, he got married at 13 or 14, and his wife would accompany him because she was not scared of the dark. So those kind of things, you always think that if you see me at 40 or 50, and then you say, oh, this person must have always been like this. That's what happened with that also. So it's not like he was not the smartest man in the room. It's not like he walked in and everyone listened to him. In fact, they didn't listen to him till he was 30. He did law, he didn't know how to practice it. So a lot of ways, his right action or the right thought or what we think that he did for the world or how he was so disciplined, he built it with that fear in him. Yes, Saira.
I'll quote my father for that. We grew up listening to that. And he always said, empty mind is a devil's workshop. Keep your mind busy on something sensible, correct? So you are not unnecessarily stuck in past or whatever. So he always said, empty mind is a devil's workshop. And he kept himself busy all the time, very sensibly. He was a top guy. And he made us do the same. No sitting and unnecessary thing. So it will help if we don't have that empty mind.
So he didn't reach there overnight, right? He didn't reach there overnight. When he said, oh, empty mind is devil's workshop, and he kept himself busy, he didn't reach there as soon as whatever. He went through a certain phase probably where he recognized that is what is the root cause. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. But we are all learning, and we got to move on, learn and do something about it. Be practical about it. Put it in practice, right? We heard it, but if you don't put it in practice, so what's the use?
We are all learning along the way. I keep saying that. We are not the same person before, right? So yeah, we do actions also, we do differently. Now don't you? See, when we think,
when we like something, or when we like any action or wherever we are, if we enjoy doing something, then you won't feel bad about your actions. But if you force to do something, probably that's when your actions changes. And maybe, I don't know, like maybe If you enjoy something, because peace is more important, and when you feel like peace is more important, then the actions will always be right.
Oh, okay.
And then the regret won't come.
See, yeah, that forcing, if somebody is forcing us to do something, then we have to think about what is it that is right for me to do, even if the other person is telling, so, right? Yeah, see, this is a silly thing, but I went through this. I'll tell you a couple of examples. One is in, I think it's in the Lowe's Garden Center. So prices have gone up. Whoever is doing gardening, the plants, and every spring I get the spring fever to go and buy something, plant something. So I just go around and bought few parts, plants. And then there is one section clearance. I always check it out, what is in the clearance rack. There are some flowers, just they need water. Otherwise, they look pretty good. So I was going there, this lady was there, and I picked up one. I was looking and she picked up a couple of them and she told me, you know what? You can, in one part, it has like 4 or 5 plants it can hold, okay? She is stuffing from other flower pots and stuffing all of them in one. And that way she's getting more plants in one. Still, it is a clearance price. She was telling me to do the same thing. She said, why are you buying like that? Just get some more and stuff it in it. See how I am doing. She was so happy. There is no right or wrong in that. I'm getting more for my money, right? I'm not going to tell her, lecture her, this is right, wrong, do in the dharmic way. That is not my place. But yes, each person, it is different. I wouldn't do it, right? But for her at that moment, she thinks she's happy. For $1, she's getting 10 plants in one part. They are not going to check, how many plants are there.
Okay,
See, this
so
is one action, right?
Actually, it leads to one question here, and that is, every action that we do, you have to divide it into 2 parts, right? One, is it good or is it pleasant? Okay, probably what she is doing was pleasant, but not necessarily good. Okay, yeah. So I mean, that all the time we have to be going through that thought of pleasant and good, and that is where you make the progress. And if we continue to do whatever is pleasant,
Yeah.
nothing will go wrong. You will be happy,
Right.
and somewhere it will attack you.
Sorry, that's one. Another one I heard in one of the discourses that this is the train, not passenger, goods train coming. And there are 2 tracks. So the news comes to the train conductor that there are people, agitation and some strike going on. So in this path, if you go, there are 5 people standing on the track. So, and this path where it is supposed to go, the original route, 10 people are standing there, strike. So now he has to decide which way to go, either go this way or that way. Either way, some people are going to get killed. So what is the right action here? Knowing that he cannot stop the goods train, he has to go this way or that way. So I will tell you what he did, but what do you think you would do? Either way, it's going to be bad. So which action should we take? We come across in life like this, but not that drastic, not killing somebody. But then how do you decide what tools you apply here? All this, why I'm saying is we cannot just anymore say, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just doing it. We have passed those stages. We are not like Om or even Bhargav. We have gone beyond that. So we need more tools. We have some. We can apply that. So finally, what he decided was that he will go in the original path, whatever the route. The reason given was, this is not his action. It is already in motion. If he decide I am going this way, that is his action. He gets karma for that. But where it is supposed to go, it is going. Why should I change the course? I thought it was very interesting, how many of us can think that?
Yeah, so that brings another chapter, completely new chapters now. if we, so that that is okay for him, but if we put all our life in that format, that will not be good. Then we will not do all this voluntary job, will not do go and help those people drowning in the river also. They are drowning for, if you follow that path, will not be trying to help anyone in that manner.
But here it is clear cut, which only two ways. So he knows.
If you
But
see
parents,
some,
we don't know. See, right? Many of us
once
don't
you
know
come to
what is
know,
there.
won't you
Yeah.
try? So if a blind person is trying to cross the road, if you see a car is coming, won't you be pushed to help? So you cannot leave them to their karma. This is a very high philosophy. If we leave everyone to their karma, then why are we trying to help poor people?
No, our karma. What is our karma and our dharma? What we are talking about. Individually, it is different. That's what
Yeah.
I think. Individuals will decide according to where they are at the mind level, intellect
Like
level.
that lady who was pushing in those plants, she will not be haunted with those negative thoughts at all. You would.
The fool. I didn't follow her.
Yes.
She kept
So
telling
if
me.
you do it even
I
once,
didn't do it.
exactly. So that
So
will haunt
according to
you.
her, I am a fool or loser,
So
whatever.
who
it
is the happiest person in this world?
She was. I was happy too. I didn't fall for that.
So that's what they say in the books. Either the ignorant is happy or the full Gyani is happy. Middleman would be always getting haunted by the thoughts. The totally ignorant would be happiest.
But we have to pass that middleman phase. Otherwise, you won't know where you are unless you're born with certain. I mean, you've already reached that level, and hopefully, maybe next Janma, I won't have that long, a prolonged session of confusion. Maybe it'll be less with something else. But basically, those are things that I think we should always focus on. It's always certain things like when I was reading about this eightfold path, I also thought, what is right livelihood? Because there was a time, so we had the entire varnas and the caste system, which doesn't make sense anymore, and that was based off of what kind of job you would do for the community. But that obviously went south, so we didn't really pay attention to what actually should happen. It all went down the drain. But um, so what is it that will, what does it define your right livelihood?
The way I understand is, for example, I don't think in this country is probably that prevalent. In India, like bribery is very common, right? So why do people accept bribe? Not so much that they want the money. They look at the next person. Okay, that person is getting, why not I? Okay, just like how you were influenced by this lady. Okay, you could have been easily influenced. Oh, okay, she's doing it. Why not I do? Okay, that could have been a logical, the thought could come because that person is doing, maybe everybody is doing. And if I don't do it, I'm a fool. Okay, so I should also do it. So that's how that bribery is spreading, is mostly because of that. It's not like they want something for the, okay, that person is doing, this person is doing, everybody is doing. Okay.
There is also pressure if you
Pressure.
don't do it.
Okay, that pressure may come.
There is
but-
pressure.
So
if
I'm just
you-
giving that as an
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
So that is the livelihood. That's how the way I see it, the salary or the income that you get, whether it is righteous, whether you got it for righteous purpose or not. I think that is what I understand as livelihood,
Like-
right livelihood.
Currently, I know it's a very intense example. This is like a regular example. It's a mango season, right? So we have like groups where mangoes they're importing from India or whatever. Like it's there, like, okay, you get 8 mangoes for $53 or whatever the price is. Like for some, $53 is very expensive. For some, oh, I can afford it. For some, it's not. But the decision has to be made in person. Just because I need to taste it and tell others it's good, I will buy that, spend that money. Or can I spend that much one time? Or I enjoy mangoes, doesn't matter how it is, social pressure where it comes, where I had also the mangoes. We need to make our own decision based on what we feel, what is right for us, considering all the factors that we have. But if just because to define something we are doing that, that becomes a habit. And eventually we cannot get back to what habits we changed just to maintain the pressure.
So right livelihood is one question. The right, so I had a few questions about the right livelihood piece as well, because I don't know what is right for me. And then he says right concentration. That I thought, what I thought concentration was always right. I don't have it, but it's supposed to be right if you're focused. But then again, when in fact, Swami Sarvapriyananda, when he talks about Buddhism, he actually talks about Ravana and says he could concentrate. He was the jnani. He could concentrate, but he had no control. So that kind of concentration is not what Buddha is referring to.
I think that is a wrong concentration. That's how I think the purpose of the action is what is the purpose of the concentration is what determines whether it is right or wrong.
So what is it that is concentration for you? As in each one of us, what do you think that that would be? Right? Mine changes from time to time. That is how wavering my mind is. But I know a lot of us are not like that. But, you know, one day I will say, oh, I think my concentration is all thinking of Swami the whole day. I'll try to do it. Stuck to breathing because I am like, okay, I'm not going to attach a name and form. So now I'm doing breathing. But this has just been my 3 months. Okay. But I'm just saying that, oh, 5 months now. Oh, God, nice. January 1st. So yeah. But my point is, how do we, what does it define for you? Like, what do you think is concentration? Because that is very important. Even in Advaita, they keep talking about being focused, stay focused. And that's how you train your mind. So having that piece, what is it for you to define that concentration, that focus?
That's actually a big question. In fact, Sarvapnyananda gives a 40-minute lecture on focus, and he quotes not, some Advaitic philosophy or anything. He quotes from regular writers available in the world, who talks about, practicing things for 20 minutes. Whatever you do, focus on 20 minutes. He talks about, our daily detractions of looking at, our cell phone or looking at the email and doing this and that, even. So I think the concentration has to be whatever we are doing, a lot that is for you to decide whether it is 20 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. In these 10, whatever time, I am not going to be distracted by anything else. And that is the discipline that we have to build. And I think that's all. That's the only way to get into the right concentration.
When we say focus, I'm sorry. Yeah. There are useless changes and focus, like somebody say, I'm watching the grass grow, I'm focusing on it, or watching the paint dry, they might be focusing very well, but what is the point of it? Also they say that change, I have change in the sense like from Virginia Beach jail to Yorktown jail, there is a change. So like that, there are useless changes and focus. Then again, it comes to the mind. So each one we can pick. You are asking if we are picking something to focus on, that a lot of choices are there. Ultimately, it is a God focus. If personally, if you ask me, I want to better myself and focus, spiritually advance in my life. That is my new thing for the last several years. So, so like that, then I need to do whatever it takes, right? And then practice. It is not easy. It is like you said, like temptation comes in many ways, forms from people, well-meaning friends, family, all that are battlegrounds for us. To keep our focus on the goal, where I am going. That's all.
For me, I try all the aspects of it's funny, but meditation or like I try, but it's hard for me. But for my way of is, I think for me, I like to be jolly mood all the time. Uh, if my mind or my heart is restless, that means I'm distracted. So for me, my focus is I should not be that. So that's how I try to come back, because I try to find what makes me restless. If that is something which makes me restless, I try to avoid those things. Yeah, that's what I could do, because things should not change us to what it should change for our betterment. And if that doesn't, then I avoid those things. I think so, because we define our own priorities. So if something is priority for me, I will try to work on that. And for that priority, it should, if being happy and keeping people around me happy is the priority. And if something makes me restless, that should not change me. So I try strictly enforcing those things. That's what I
What
do.
exactly is the purpose of concentration? I mean, Bhavani ji had posed this question, concentration. So I didn't get the question actually. What exactly is the question? What is concentration, or whom should we? What is the question?
Then I will definitely say.
Yeah, right concentration. What I wanted to add was it is important to have the right concentration. For example, often students would say, I can't, or kids, I cannot focus on studies. I'm not a good test taker. Watch them play video games. They can play for hours. Same thing with us too. The things that we do not like, we say we can't concentrate, we cannot focus. But things that we like, we can focus and concentrate for hours. So that's what. So then what Raki is saying, priority. So if we know that there is something that is really important, like I believe that multitasking is a myth. When you're doing multitasking, there is one task or a couple of tasks which are not getting all the attention. But then some things are not important, like washing dishes. I don't care. So I watch something while I'm washing dishes because I know that is not for me. That's not that important. But if I'm doing some, say, office work or some work where I know that I need to focus, I should not make mistakes. I do not listen to music. I do not do anything else. And I advise the kids the same thing. Some of the kids, they listen to music while they're working on some student work. And I tell them to actually observe. If you're really able to focus while having the music played in the background, you should go for it. Otherwise, not. So the point is, when you're trying to concentrate, remove the distractors. We know what the distractors are. If the phone is a distractor, keep it far away from you so that you're not tempted to get distracted.
So for me, so my question initially was just to say, what is right concentration? How do you practice concentration? First off, I don't think there is a right and wrong. That's why I was like, as long as you can concentrate, there is no right and wrong. But there is right and wrong, because the example of Ramana, that's where we were going. He concentrated on the wrong things that we all know. There are many such in the entire history of events that we can probably go back and look at. But what is your practice is what I'm trying to get at. I mean, how do you practice it? Because everyone has a busy life. Everyone, including kids, need to have that few moments of practice, Again, not that it's idealistic to expect the child to do it, but we have gained through the years, we have actually had in our SSE classes to have that practice. So again, until the wave comes and goes, the child does not go back to it. That's how I am seeing it, because only when, okay, anyway, but when the child is like in the high school or whatever, they have not gone through too much, so they think all of this is waste of time. They finish their college or they're ending their college, they realize that, oh my God, I don't know, it's not going the way I should be doing. That's when that change comes. If that change comes earlier in their lives, it is good. For some of us, it has come much later. So it is, we are still catching up to it. Either ways, the change has happened. So again, we have to find that practice. I mean, you have to keep on that, what works for you. And I think a lot of our children are more aware than how we grew up. At least I had no awareness of myself, always aware of the five senses and the world. But that's how I think that we can do the right kind of focus. Anyone have anything to add?
No, I just wanted to say that in all these things, we are all individual.
Correct.
We should never compare with others, never compare with ourselves in the past, because all those things are not going to help. We can only look at this moment, what we think is right, based on, as we said, it's not like we are the same as we were 5 years or 10 years back. We have evolved. So I think we have to just focus and do or take up what we can at this.
Sai Ram. Sorry, we are at time, so we will just end. I just wanted to let everyone know that this was the end of our karma and dharma discussion. We'll be going back to chapter 4. So just let me know if you want to play entire chapter 4. Do you want to reread it or just move ahead with our discussion? And we can take that on from the next session, which is going to be on 1st of June, not next week. Again, as a life application, I just put here that we should work on what works for you to live in the moment, because that was the essence of Swami's discourse and discussion. So I just brought that as a life application today. So with that, let's end with Om and 3 Shantis. Thank you for your participation. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Sai Ram.